listenership, support of the channel means a lot to me. And listen, if you haven't yet, please subscribe to us on Spotify, Apple, SoundCloud. We're anywhere that there is podcasts. So please go and do that listen to the podcast first and then go do that. But also, if we're on YouTube, if you're on YouTube, we're there too. And please, if you haven't yet done so, please subscribe to that channel as well. Help us to grow and just generate more awareness of the podcast and the guests we have on. So again, appreciate that very, very much. We got an awesome guest, man. One of my good boys, Rhino. Thank you for being here, brother. Welcome to the show, bro. How are you?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. So I can tell you're a little nervous.
A little bit.
Okay, don't be.
Okay.
Because this is just you and me talking. We're just bullshitting, man.
All right.
And I brought you on because one, I like talking to you, even though we have like fucking really crazy talks. That's also a part of the reason why I wanted you on, because you have a crazy story. And you have a lot to say. You have a lot you've been through. And I know that this story that you have, what we're going to get through it at least, is going to be really inspiring to others to hear how you kind of circumvented yourself and redeemed yourself from it. And so I'll just kind of pass the baton to you, bro.
All right. Yeah, so I don't know, like life's great now, but it wasn't always that way, you know? And I don't know, like I was born into like what I would call just like I don't know, struggling, broke dick, white family, you know what I mean? Like we lived in the ghetto, you know what I mean? And we just didn't have a lot, you know what I mean? But I ate every night, you know, there was never like a wonder if I was going to eat every night. It wasn't that bad, you know what I mean? But it wasn't great, you know? And I feel like early on, just by happenstance, the family that I was born into, because I learned this through talking to other people, that like other people's families aren't like this. I thought it was just kind of normal to have a bunch of uncles that went to prison and stuff. Like I just figured all families were like that, you know? But I found early on by how shocked people were when I would tell them like stories of just about like just my normal like family get-togethers, and they just like, whoa. And I'm like, okay, so maybe this isn't normal. But for me, what was normal was like, I don't know, I'm just cut from a rough and tumble crowd. Like one of my uncles, like my mom, I don't know my father. He was a convict. He died in prison when I was like 12, I want to say, but he went away early on when I was first born. And so I never even met him, but he was cut from that cloth too. And then my mom's brothers, how she met my father, were cut from the same cloth. And these were like the guys I looked up to, right? And this is what I distinctly remember being young, and just when they would get out of prison, like, because they'd go do like 5 years or whatever, and they'd get out and they'd be all buff and tattooed, and when they showed up, like everybody would take notice, and they were like respected in the neighborhood, and like, and especially because there were white boys, and in the neighborhood I grew up in LA, like there wasn't that many white boys that people took notice of, you know what I mean? It was mostly like gang members and stuff like that, and but everybody knew them and they were cool, you know, and like I was like, dude, this is cool, like look at these tough guys showing up on the block, and I was like, that's what I want. I want people to take notice of me. I want people to, and so like I feel like I strived for that at a way earlier age than I should have. So like I started with criminal activity like really young. I want to say like 5th, 6th grade. I was already doing like breaking into newspaper machines and graffiti and like. And then I'd get arrested, and the cops would be like trying to be all like teach me a lesson, you know, and I'd be like, fuck you, and like talking shit and being disrespectful, and just like that, like, yeah, you know, like just take me to jail, you know. But you don't go to jail when you're a kid, right? You just go to the police station and they call your parents, and your parents show up, right? But I'm like, fuck, how do I get to jail, you know? Like I need to get to jail, you know? So like I feel like I strive for that in some weird twisted way. Like I wanted to go to jail. Because I tried a few times, right? But they just took me and called my parents. Got an ass whooping, and then that was that, you know? And I wanted to go to jail. So
It's so crazy for you to say that, because I know people are listening who are like, what the fuck?
Right?
Why would you say that? You know what I mean? But you're a product of the environment, man. You're raised in. So, we're witnessing that from you right now. Like, you are a product.
100%. It's what I feel like it's all what you look up to, like what you think's cool. Like if I would have thought that Michael Jordan was cool or something like that, maybe I would have strove to play basketball or whatever, but I didn't really think that was cool. I thought tough guys with tattoos were cool, you know, and this is before everybody had tattoos, by the way, but now everybody has them. But back in the day, it was like convicts and bikers, you know, and I don't know. So that's what I strive for. So then my crimes progressively got worse and worse, you know, and I started getting into more trouble and I started fighting a lot. And then like I remember, so the newspaper thing I was telling you about, right? That got worse to where I was doing that a lot, right? Breaking into newspaper machines. We'll come to find out that's like a federal offense or something like that, I guess. A certain newspaper machine I broke into or something. I don't know. But for whatever reason, like they put effort into busting me, and they did, me and my friends, and they busted us. And I went to juvenile hall for the first time. And it was East Lake Juvenile Hall in Los Angeles, in like, I think it's like Northeast LA. And boy, like I thought I wanted to go to jail, right? And then I went to jail. And I was like, this sucks. Like, remember, my first time, it sucked really, really bad. It was not fun for me. I got beat up a lot. Like, I was targeted. People trying to, like, bully me. And I was a small kid. You know, I was 5'2" till I was 19. So, I'm 5'9" now. But I was just a really small kid. And I wasn't scared to fight, but I wasn't necessarily that good at it either. You know what I mean? So, it wasn't fun the first time. I remember that. And then, like, so I remember going home. I was in there for maybe like 2 weeks, about 2 weeks, somewhere around there. And then I got out, and my grandparents were all like, dude, I can't believe you're being just like your uncles and da 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 da. And I was like, that was it. When I remember my grandmother saying like, you're acting just like your uncle, and I was like, yes. Like in my head, I remember being like, all right, okay, so I'm on the right path. Right. Wow. Now I'm being like Uncle Louie, Uncle Larry. Okay, even Grandma says, right, like that. Like I'm being like my uncles now. I'm on the right path, right? But I'm still a kid. So when you're a kid, you don't really get in that much trouble. And then, so we'll just fast forward again. So it goes like that the whole childhood, right? So like I fuck up, I get in trouble, but you don't get really in trouble. And I used to come up here to this area, to the Central Coast of California for the summers because my family's been here a long time. But I was living with my grandparents in Los Angeles. Me and my mom kind of make amends. I come up here, spend a summer. I'm good. It's great, whatever. And she's like, yeah, this is cool. You can come and live here. So I come back, and this was, I think I came here for good, like, I want to say around 17. It was when I was 16, 17, like I stayed. And it was not good. I had the mentality that I had in Los Angeles when I came here. First off, I smoked cigarettes, just to give you just the starter profile. I smoked cigarettes, and I smoked cigarettes. Like I smoked like I was an adult, and I never thought it was an issue because no one messed with me about it in LA. And I moved up here, and the first time walking down downtown Pismo, the cops rolled up on me and put me in handcuffs and like, for smoking a cigarette. I'm serious. And then they gave me this thing, and then I go to this court date in Grover Beach over here, and they're like, first thing they say in this courtroom, by the way, is nobody's going to jail today. Nobody's gonna, like, they essentially tell us all that we're not going to get in trouble. And then that's the first thing they said. I'm like, okay, I'm sitting back. I'm like, what the fuck do you mean nobody? Okay, so okay. And then like they proceed to tell me they want me to fill up like 2 huge like gallon Ziploc bags full of cigarette butts and go and pick them up and like return them to them, and that's what they're gonna do for the thing. And I'm like thinking in my head, I'm like, they told me no one's gonna get in. So I told Judge no. And I was like, what do you mean no? And I was like, well, you already told me I'm not going to jail today, so I'm not going to pick up the cigarette butts. And you can tell I don't know if he didn't encounter this before, like a little fucker, or he just, but he was like, like he didn't really know.
Well, you were using logic. That's all you were doing. You were just being logical about what was he going to
do to me, right?
Well, yeah, what he pretends the fact that you're not going to jail. So but most people would not question. They would just do what the authority says to do.
Exactly. I didn't. I told them no. And then he proceeded to like, no, you're going to, okay. I was like, okay, and what are you going to do if I don't? Like, now I flipped the question around on him, and he was like, what? Like, and then he looks at my mom, and my mom just like throws her hands up in the air, like, I don't know. Like, now you feel my pain, essentially, you know? And so they didn't do anything. It was really weird. It was like a super awkward time in the courtroom, and they didn't do anything. And then I was like, but then that put it in my head that, like, it's not the same here. And I knew because I moved a lot as a kid. So I've witnessed a lot of different demographics, but I knew right away moving here that the police department was different. Just from that first experience, I was like, they put me in handcuffs over smoking a cigarette, and they like gave me a court date, and then like and I'm like I was like, damn, okay, like so they're, and I probably should have taken notice of that and changed my ways, but instead I was like, okay, what better way to fill my monster plan of getting locked up, right? This place seems easy. This is good. I'll be in prison in no time. And I was like, I think it was my actual 18th birthday. I was getting a tattoo at a local tattoo shop. Like, they put the pattern on me. Went out to my car to smoke some weed, and like some random like undercover officers dressed in Hawaiian shirts rolled up on me while I was smoking weed in my car. And like, I was young and I didn't know, and I had like pharmaceutical pills on me, and I don't know why, but like I threw them right in front of the cop, right? Like I literally tried to like toss him under the seat, but he watched me do it. And he was like, get out the car. And you know, and then they found him, and it was Oxycontin and Dilaudid, and those are felonies. And there was a lot of them. And then they went in the trunk of my car and found a lot more of them. And before I know it, I had 4 sales cases. And I was like, damn, like, and I succeeded. I caught my first prison term, you know, and I went to jail, and it wasn't the same experience as juvenile hall was. I had a fucking blast. Like and that is just, I guess some people are built for it. Some people aren't. I don't know. I thrived in that environment. Like I felt like I found my niche, because I never really quite fit in any of the demographics I was in. I was never like, I don't know, like I just never really felt that sense of belonging until I went to prison and had these guys, like I was like willing to, yeah, I'll punch that guy in the mouth, sure, you know, and like, and they took advantage of my innocence and my willingness to fit in. And I maxed my first term out. I was in a bunch of trouble. You know what I mean? Like I was the first person to raise my hand, and I wanted people to know my name. And I did the best I could to be the biggest problem for CDC that I could be. And I was, you know, and then so just like looking at the two sides, like, so that from my juvenile experience, right? Like I got out and I was like, fuck, that sucked, right? Well, I got from this one, and like, I was the fucking man, I thought, right? Like I was like, hell yeah, dude. Like I wrecked shop in there, dude. Everybody loved me, dude. I'm good at pinochle now, right? I learned new card games. I like had this new lingo. I had some fresh tattoos, and I got out, and it fit right in with the people I was hanging around with out here at the time, you know? And I got really into drugs at that point, because prior to that I wasn't like I smoked pot, I drank, and I did do drugs, but I don't know how to explain it. Like I had not become like a hope to die drug addict yet. Like, you know what I mean? Like that was everything, you know. I still served. I still, you know, I mean, I still had other life activities and everything. And then after getting out of prison for that time, there was no more life activities. It was drugs and criminal activity and the next come up, you know, and that's set in stage like just very, very dark period of my life, you know what I mean? Like, and just to put it in perspective, I'll be 38 next month. So like, and I don't think I was ever out longer than 4 months. Like ever, like from that first arrest. until I got sober and stopped doing. So like I over a decade, you know what I mean, of just a revolving door of go to prison, get buff, get sober, right, and get out, and then fuck all of that off, right? I mean, lose like 25, 30 pounds, like just go hard, just don't eat, don't sleep, don't strict diet of chocolate milkshakes and sour gummies, you know what I mean? Just
when you were out of jail?
Out of jail, yes. That's in jail, right? Never done drugs in jail before, period, by the way, as a matter of fact. Never, ever once. Never used in... Because people that use in prison are frowned upon, right? They're looked at as like less militant, less structured, less with the business, you know what I mean? And I wanted to be known as with the... Right? Like, I was a soldier. Like, that's what I wanted. So, like, I just never did it. And I seen people getting stabbed for... drug debts they couldn't pay, and you know what I mean, and just like everything that came along with that was just nothing I wanted a part of. But as soon as I get out, that's the first thing I do. Like I was just talking about my wife about this recently. Like I don't know how to even like put that into perspective to myself, even now with like all of the like changing I've done the way I'm like I still can't see why I wouldn't use in prison while I'm surrounded by a bunch of like the worst of society, right? We're all locked up already. What are you gonna do? Lock you up? You're already locked up, right? So like you can't get in, like but I just hard no, wouldn't do it, had no problems sticking to that conviction. Never once did I do it, and that's a lot of incarcerations. And yet, every single time since the last time I paroled, I got high right away. Right away. I mean, sometimes even in the freaking bus station wherever I paroled from, because you parole from a prison, right? So I guess I'll tell you, this probably puts for a lot of people probably don't know what it's like when you get in prison. So when you get put in prison, they give you $1.10, or at least it used to be. They'd give you $1.10 a day, right? Yeah, $1.10. They give you $1.10 a day. That's what they pay you for being in jail, right? That caps out at $200. So after 6 months, you have $200 worth of money. They call that gate money. And that's what they give you to get out with. It used to be actual money. They'd give it to you because you have to buy your bus ticket home to wherever you're going, and it's something to eat. And then like it's your gate money, right? And because you get out with nothing. And some places set you up with an ID. Some people give you a prison ID. But they give you that money, right? They force you to buy a bus ticket right there, right? But I was such a dope fiend that there's like 4 or 5 different occasions where my reception was Wasco, right? So we'd parole and they take us over to Bakersfield to the Greyhound station, and the cops sit there and they give you your money and they stand there and you're supposed to go buy your ticket, right? But when they give it to me, I literally take off running from the bus station because I didn't want to buy a bus ticket. I was like, I figured I could stay here and get high and get somebody to come pick me up from Pismo. It's an hour and a half drive. Like, fuck you, you're not making me spend half this $200 I have right now on a bus ticket to go home. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and I would run from them. And I mean, they would, a couple times they would like kind of give chase for a second, but like, what do they care? Like, I'm not their problem no more, you know? And then they're supposed to stay there and watch the guys that let me go. And then I would like be left to my own devices, and sometimes it's really bad, sometimes it's good. Like, but I would just stay where the fuck I was at, you know what I mean? And figure it out. And, because I wanted to get high so bad. But like some of those times, not all of them, but some of them I was gone for like whole calendars, like, you know what I mean? Like several years. And I'm like, so I went those several years, never once thinking about getting high, and it was everywhere. It's not because it was lack of it being there. It was, I didn't use when I was in prison. That was right. And it's so weird because it I don't know why it's been coming up so much, but like we've been talking about it with me and my wife, just talking about the past and stuff, and it, because she's an ex-drug addict too, and I to this day I don't know how I was able to do that, how I was able to flip that drug addict switch off when I was in that environment and never even be like damn, I really want to. Like I never even thought about it. It's just like, no, I don't use in prison, boom, boom. Right when I went, I mean, like sometimes dude, I've even brought drugs into the prison in my asshole, you know what I mean? And brought them in and introduced them. But I'm like, as soon as I get in there, I hand it off to somebody else. And I'm like, no, I'm in jail now. Here, just give me some money back. Or you know what I mean? Whatever I did. But I wouldn't use it. And it's so weird. And it goes back to what I looked up to, right? Right? The tough guys, the guys who that was what was cool. So like, I didn't care if people frowned on me out here in society and were like, look at that drug addict over there, you know, all sucked up and dirty, or I don't want to really use the dirty, but you know what I mean? Like, and I never even thought about the way I looked out there, but I was so important to me what the homies or the fellas or like the people in there thought about, you know. I just always thought about that. But
so you mentioned when you're in prison, you said you would say something like, I wanted to be with the business. Yeah. So what did with the business mean really?
So in my eyes, so I can speak for the whites, right? Because I don't know, everybody's politics are different, but for the white boys, there's different categories of white boys, you know what I mean? And there's, you know, the Bible thumpers, the people that go in there and, they're religious and they don't participate in politics or whatever, and they stick with their religious thing and they run Bible groups and do all that, right? And then they have what the prison calls the woods, right? And that's like just all white guys, right? You're just automatically labeled that whether you like it or not. Like it's on doors. That's what you are. You're the wood pile, right? And then skinheads, and then different fractions of that, right? And like even within the fractions, there's slapsticks. You know, there's people that are just like dope fiends or whatever. With the business is someone that has his mat rolled up in the morning every morning, you know what I mean, and set up and gets out of bed in his boots, his laces. He gets up early. He works out every day. You know what I mean? He does not do drugs. He doesn't break rules. You know what I mean? Very militant, like works out all the time. If there is an issue that arises, they're the first person to volunteer themselves for said at the cost of their own release date or their own harm, you know, and for the greater good of whatever the fuck, right? So like I wanted to be that guy that, like, say I'm on the unit, right? We'll call the unit G4, right? So we're in unit G4, and right, some guy shows up and he fucked around with an underage girl, right? And there's paperwork on him, and this dude, right, has got some bad paperwork on him. I wanted to be the guy that they'd be like, hey, Rhino, this guy over here did this. I'm like, I got it, you know? And I'd be the guy to go take care of it. And then I'd go back to the hole. I'd lose my release date, but I'd have a fucking cool little fucking write-up, right, to show and tell stories about. And I'd be known as that's the guy that took that guy off the unit.
What do you mean take care of it?
It depends. I have had removals go multiple different ways. Like it depends on what level yard you're on and the level of the offense. So if like, put it this way, if it's a mistake that is rectifiable, like you're not a piece of shit. Like you're like, if it's like that, by the way, underage, anything sexual is no good. And with my upbringing is it's a no hands policy with those guys. You know what I mean? If it's a guy that has done sexual content, like something like that type of crime, no hands. They're getting whacked. You're stabbing them. Mm-hmm. You're trying to kill them. You know what I mean? Because I mean, like you're trying, but at the same time, unless you're locked in a cell with them, right? It's not as easy as they show on the movies to kill someone in prison because you're working with a crude metal object. You know what I mean? It's not like a pocket knife where it's just razor sharp and you're working with what you can get your hands on. So it's not so easy to kill someone, but that's the intention, right? You're going out there with that goal. So now I've also been on removal teams, we'll say, where it's someone that just owed a drug debt, right? But they're a good motherfucker, maybe even a tough motherfucker, right? Like someone we want on our side, someone that, but they fucked up and there's nothing we do because they owe several $100s and we don't, so they fucked up, right? So that type of person, It's either used, it depends on, if you're on an upper level yard, they're still getting stabbed, but it's using like a smaller piece, right? It's nothing that's vital. It's like a actual part that's metal that's going to go in you is smaller. So it's not going to hit no vital organs. It's not going to kill you.
Like a couple inches.
Yeah, it's like 2 inches. And it's not going to go deep enough to hit vital organs and kill somebody, right? It's just meant to teach them a lesson, right? And you don't, like, it's all kinds of weird rules. You don't use razors on people's faces that are coming back, right? Because, you see the people, you see them on movie that have the big old scars across their face with razors and stuff like that. That's meant to mark someone so when you see that person, like, something ain't right, right? So it's not always like that. I don't want to say that every person that has a scar going down their face like that has that type of background, but that's what I think. You know what I mean? That's what goes to my mind, and that's what a lot of people in the razor cuts are usually, unless you got in a riot, it's usually someone, you know what I mean, that fucked up bad, and there's no like rules. So there's rules to it. So like, I've done both though. I've removed people with my hands. I've removed people with a knife. I've done it all, to be honest with you, when it comes to that kind of stuff. Like, the level of violence is either intended upon the crime or like what you're willing to do. Do you get what I mean? So if you as a person want to take it further and it's within the parameters, then that's on you, right? And I won't say I was that savage. I'm not a mean person by nature. I don't you know what I mean? So like, I always, like, put it this way, like, partway into my career, once I got over I fucking hate saying that. That's how fucked up it is, right? Like, what I meant by that is like my time going in and out of prison. In the beginning I was down for whatever, right? But then like you learn the ins and outs, right? And you're not, your gills get smaller, right? And you start to learn a little more, and you can navigate the channels and the tides, and you kind of just learn a little bit more about what's going on there. And then I started realizing, like, I don't give a fuck if this guy owes money to fucking this guy for fucking this drug debt. Like that's on him. So I came further. I'm like, I'm not going to lose my release date and go sit back in the hole and have my privileges taken and all that comes along with that. My points go up and all that because this dope fiend couldn't pay his debt. Like, I don't even use drugs. You know what I mean? So I'm not, and I stopped participating in those kind of things, right? And the only things that I would be willing to were things that were actual things I felt dude had something coming for, because then I feel like I could justify it and I could bring that animal out and bring forth that because it takes a level of violence and brutality that like, because you don't know the person most times, right? Like, you never met the person before in your life, right? Like, so it's real easy to attack and fucking really violently hurt someone that you have some type of anger towards, right? But now imagine, like, a kite just comes under your door and they're just like, hey, Tommy 2 times over here, blah, 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 da-da-da, now you need to go stab him. Like, you might have been seeing this guy on the yard before, might even played a card game together before, but you don't know him other than that, right? Like, it's... Think about what that takes. Like that takes, that's not easy to do, or at least it wasn't for me. I guess I could say it is easy for some people, and they're probably either sociopaths or just bully. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's not easy to do, man, to turn that level of violence onto someone that you don't even know, you know?
Well, what would happen if you didn't answer the kite?
That depends. So, it's it depends. Like, or put it this way, like, there was a time I was in AdSeg in Wasco. I was in the hole, so I'm already in the hole, right? And my cellie says that he doesn't want to be a member of the woodpile anymore. Like, just like in other words, he wants to drop out. He wants to check in. He wants to he had been in the shoe for like freaking 20 years or something like that, you know, without visits, without anything. And like, I think he had found like somehow it, like, I don't know if I don't know, but for whatever reason, he had this new woman in his life, and he wanted to get visits, and he wanted to, like, he was a lifer, so he was never getting out. But like he wanted more privileges, I guess would be the best way to put it. And the dude was a straight savage, right? Like in his time, like this dude was no joke. You know what I mean? Like he's a killer. You know what I mean? Straight killer. And I'm sealed up with him on a fucking 3-month violation, but like I owed shoe time. So when you parole from the hole, no matter what, when you go back to prison that next time, you go back to the hole. It doesn't matter if it's 7 years later. If you parole from the hole, you're going back to the hole, and then you have to like go in front of a committee, and then they'll like kick you back out if you know what I mean, what if something stupid or whatever, and you don't. But for me, I owned an endless amount of shoe time for a minute. Like it just didn't matter. When I went back, I was going back to the hole. So like I showed up just for a short violation, a few month violation, and he starts saying all this shit to me, and now I don't know what to fucking do, dude. So like I shoot kind of like what the fuck? Like, what do I...
Were you supposed to do something when that happens?
I did do something. So that's the point I'm making. So that's a scenario where I didn't have a choice. I didn't dislike the guy. And not only that, I respected the guy. The guy was no G. He was probably like 51 years old, something like that. But like, don't get it twisted. Like 51 years old in prison when you've been down for 25, 30 years is different than what you're picturing out here with a 51-year-old man. This was a freaking muscular, large, very formidable person. And I was intimidated. And
How old were you at the time?
Fuck, dude. I don't know for sure, but it was in my 20s. So like I want to say like mid 20s, 26,
yeah, like
20s. Yeah, like you know what I mean? Like he was a lot bigger than me, and not only that, like his reputation like kind of preceded him. So like, and we'd been cellies for a minute, right? We'd been talking and like everything was cool, and then it just came out of nowhere. And I was like, okay, so I'll sum it up. I got put in a position where exactly what you said, what happens when you say no. I was told like, hey, like, cause he wasn't letting it go. I tried to talk him out of it. I tried to tell him like, come on, it's not that bad. Da, 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 da. He wasn't letting it go. Like he was like, no, I'm done. Like I'm done. And he even told me, he was like, Rhino, I know the position I'm putting you in. Like I understand. He's like, but you're good, bro. I'm not like he was almost like telling me that he wasn't going to try to hurt me back in a weird way or whatever. Like, at least that's what I thought. That's what I thought. I found out that wasn't true, but that's what I thought, right? So, it gets all set up. It gets to the point where I have to handle this and I don't have a choice because, okay, that's the point I was trying to make. There are things that you can say no to. That situation is not one of them because I'm in 24-hour lockdown. We only get out every other day for a little bit at a time. We're cuffed up when we leave, right? You literally have to put your arms through a slot. They put you in handcuffs and they escort you with 2 officers anytime you move out of the cell. So nobody else has action at this man. So if this man's saying that he doesn't want to be a part, or for whatever reason he's got to go, there's no one else that can do it but me. And if I don't do it, he's going to successfully do what he wants to do, right? And it makes us look bad, right? So I got put in that position. I understood what's going, but like I took solace in the fact that he understood, and he was it was weird. Like it was almost like we didn't talk it out, because think about how weird that conversation is, period. But like he knew what was going to happen. He understood even more than I did, and he was okay with it. And he just didn't want to go out like that. So he was like, and he didn't like I had a knife, and like we went at it, man. And I thought he was just gonna let me like get him, you know. So like but dude, and then he cracked me right off the bat with a good left that just like buckled one of my knees, and like, so I had a knife, he did not. But again, this guy's bigger than me, and on top of that, like, he's just fucking tough, you know what I mean? So like when he buckled me and whatever, like, and he like gave me a weird like twisted kind of like smile, and he was like, come on, youngster, you know what I mean? And like, we fucking went at it, man. Like we went at it, dude. Dude, they came and they like, he kept telling me to get up, dude. Like, cause he dropped me several times with punches, several times during this. I had a weapon, and he dropped me several times in this altercation, cause he was just a fucking pretty bad mojo, right? And so He's dropping. He's like, come on, get up, dude. Like, and they're like shooting stuff into the cell. Like they already know. Like at this point, they're like, it went for a while, man. You know, and we went at, but like, I don't know how to put it other than even though he was checking in, right? And that guy now, in terms of prison politics, is a piece of shit, right? So he locked it up, right? That was him locking it up. We're not allowed to allow someone just say, hey, we'd like to go, so like have a good day, and then just let him walk out. If you're gonna leave, you're gonna leave violently, right? So but I'll say that he it was important to him that he went out what he in his mind was like a gangster, you know what I mean? Like went out swinging, you know, and he did. Like he even like talking shit into cell. Like the dude refused medical attention till he passed out from blood loss, and they were able to give him medical attention. Like he didn't want any of his, like he was sitting in, like they put you in these like bird cages afterwards. They're like phone booths with cages around him. And he just refused medical attention over and over again until he literally passed out. And then once he passed out, then they could do it anyways. You know what I mean? Because I'm assuming that was what was going on. I don't know. But like I watched the whole thing. And
so you did penetrate him?
Oh, multiple times. Yeah.
And was the intention, what was the intention when you fought him?
At first it was, honestly, the whole time it was more so just like, I was just put in a position and I didn't have a choice about, like, because like you were asking what happens if you don't. If I didn't do that, then I'd be marked. You get what I mean? Like, because I was the only person that had action on him. You know what I mean? The dude wants to lock it up. He does not. You know what I mean? The dude's no good no more. You know? And he. So I chose myself, you know? And on top of that, like I told you, like the way he put it to me kind of helped me with it too, because he almost made me feel okay about it, because it felt shitty. Like, because I kind of looked up to the guy when I moved into his cell, you know what I mean? And I felt like this was like an older homeboy, you know what I mean? Like he was with the business, as we would say, you know what I mean? And an older homeboy. And I when he was telling me his reasons for it, like I felt his pain, you know what I mean? Like that's what I mean. Like I'm not a just inherent savage by, you know what I mean? So like I felt bad. The dude just like, I want visits, I want this, I'm fucking over this, you know what I mean? Like, and I could understand where he was coming from, you know, but like we all signed up for it, you know what I mean? And you it's what you signed up for, you know.
But what the intention was to
I just had to stab him. So I personally wasn't trying to kill him. No, if that's what you're asking. No, and not only that, what I had to use would have been hard to use anywhere in the hole. So think about metal stock's even worse back there. So like it wasn't a formidable bit. Like I put a bunch of holes in him and he bled a lot, but like I think I probably just like nicked something or whatever, because one thing was bleeding more than the other, but like it wasn't. He just bled a lot, I guess would be the best way to put it. You know what I mean? I don't feel like, I don't know because I'm not a doctor, but I don't feel like he was ever in danger of losing his life. Like I was just, to be honest with you, I would have been done right off the bat. It was him. Like he's the one that kept fucking punching me and like keeping it fucking going. Like, dude, I would have laid down and cuffed up, and right after the first few, got my first few pokes in and we're good and I'm done. I did my job. Okay, I want to go home, you know? But no, this fucker was the one like pressing the issue. Like, nah, dude, like he, and so he made it almost like pressing on me. So I didn't have a choice, and he could fight better than me. So I sure as hell needed what I had in my hand, and you know what I mean? And,
do you think he would have said that to like another top G that was in his cell?
Probably not, because I'm sure if he was put it this way, if he was with another guy of his caliber, like especially another lifer, right? If he was another lifer that has nothing to lose or whatever, who knows how crazy that guy is, and he might take his actual life, right? Because I think he saw the good in me, I think he knew that I kind of wouldn't have really hurt him that bad, so I think that's why he fucked me up as hard as he did, is because he wanted to make sure that and it worked, because it promoted me to fight harder, because I didn't have a choice. The dude was on me, you know what I mean? Like, even though I had a weapon, like people think like you have a weapon, it's just okay, you're the winner. No. Like, you're in a fucking little box, you know what I mean? And you have a little fucking thing, you know what I mean? Like, that's not like, I don't know, like, put it this way, like, if you wanted to I feel like he could have took that weapon and killed me, no problem. Like, if that's what his intention was, if that's what he wanted to do that day, I feel like he could have done it. That me, the man I was that day in that scenario, I don't feel like, I don't know, because I wasn't there, I don't know. So I wouldn't feel like I was in a fight for my life, and I kind of felt different. But I feel like the dude, yeah, he was pretty gnarly. He could have, you know, but I guess that answers your question. Like, what happens if you don't? It depends. That type of scenario, right? But say you're in a dorm. Say I'm there for a 2-year with half term, right? So I got to do 2 years with good time. Or I'm sorry, 2 years with half. I got to do 1 year with good time, right? If I stay out of trouble. And there's a guy that has a drug debt again. We'll use that one, right? So, and then the guy, whoever is in charge there, tells me like, hey, Rhino, you need to go take this guy off over his drug debt. I could be like, no, like I fucking go home a year from now. You know what I mean? Like, isn't there someone else that, so you get what I mean? If there's other people that are more fitting for the situation, then I guess you can, but you definitely can potentially, depending on who it is telling you to do it, have a stigma attached to you. You know what I mean? Like, they're like, all right, you know what I mean? They're going to look at you like you pussied out or whatever. You know what I mean?
When you do something like that with that higher caliber G that you were locked up with, do you end up moving up rank because you did that, because you complied with what the kite said?
I wouldn't say that one, because that one was a loss either way. That one was a loss either way. Losing that man was a loss either way. You know what I mean? Because he was a good dude, you know? Like, and like, just put it in perspective, like when you go on any upper level yard, like there'll be like several hundred of like the other races, right? And there'll be like 27 white guys. Literally, like 31, 9, maybe 60. Do you get what I mean? Like,
such a minority. It's the great
horribly
minority.
so on the upper levels. And the only reason being, again, it goes back to demographic. It go like, so like you I don't know how to put this, but like, so like there's not as many like white boys that are involved with gangs and like criminal activity with guns, and so when you commit a violent crime, you get more time. Like if you shoot somebody, or if you armed rob somebody, or if you do those kinds of things, you get more time and you get more points because of the time and the crime. So it puts you at an upper level. They have different tiers: level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. Level 4 being is as high as it goes, and the point system ranks you at what level you go do your time at, and it'll be like level 1's like beyond the wall. There's not even a wall around you. You're on like a support yard where you're going out into the community and working, and you're producing the food to go up to the level 4 yards, and you have all these cool cush jobs, and you're living in a dorm. And then level 2, there's a regular level 2, which is pretty much along the lines of what I just said, and then there's a secure level 2. It's still mellow but has a fence around it. Then you go level 3. Level 3 has a fence, and it's all cell living, no dorms, right? And you're in a 2-man cell, and but you still have program. You still get to do a lot more. Level 4, you have the 180 and the 270, and the 180 versus 270 is the how many guard towers and the line of sight on the yard. So a 180 level 4 yard has a fence that goes down the middle, and the yard's split in two, and it's so they can control the amount of people and the line of sight and the gun towers and the amount of cops versus the amount of people and all that. 270, it's a little bit more of a yard, right? So it's like it just gets more and more restrictive, more guards there, and like the process getting out to the yard gets hard. Like on level 4, you're actually getting stripped out. You literally get stripped, have to bend over the metal to detect you, and you like go through a whole process before you can even go out to yard. You know what I mean? And it varies on the different levels. And so I don't just say I lost my train of thought. I don't remember.
The level 4 is obviously reserved for people that are high offenders, right?
Yes, violent crimes. It's mainly violent crimes, or if you went there on a smaller crime, but you started getting in a bunch of fights. So like every time you get a write-up in prison, not only do you lose good time, but you get a certain amount of points for the write-up. So like you could go in there as a level 1, right, for instance, and with like, 15 points, but then fight everybody, you know, and disrespect the staff and do this and do that and cook pruno and do all this stuff, right? And then before you know it, you have 100 something points and you're sitting on a level 4 yard with actual killers, but you're just a fucking dipshit. And now you're like really out of your out of your element, you know what I mean? Like, like,
what was the feeling like when you stepped onto that level 4 yard, being that, I mean, yeah, you've done some violent crimes, but you're not like on the level of some of these guys. What's the feeling like when you step into that environment?
For me, especially level 4, I have to like it's almost like acting, bro. Like I have, you know me as a person, so like I'm such a jokester and outgoing and like goofy and. But homie, don't play that there. I guess would be the best way to put it. You know what I mean? They're like, I'm annoying to them. You know what I mean? And I like won't shut the fuck up. And I won't like, not that I'm not like that to everybody, but like other people aren't gonna be fucking like seriously try to hurt me over it, you know? So like I remember I had to like just like get super serious. I don't know. Like I felt like I had to be like chest puffed and like just super like just serious. I couldn't like joke and I'd like somebody say something stupid and I'd resist the urge to like make fun of it because I don't know if he's going to get mad and be offended and like so it was just, for me, I noticed it was just a lot more just like, you can't, just serious, dude, like really serious. Like everybody's just kind of like angry, you know, but like my favorite place to do time would be level 3 though. So it's in the middle. I don't want dorm living, right? I don't want to live in a dorm. I don't want to be running around with fucking 240 fucking people doing whatever the fuck they want. I want to have my fucking cell. I want to have my cellie that I get along with and a person that I can, you know, because cell living is an art in itself, right?
And you can trust your cellie?
I won't live with someone I can't trust.
Well, what if you have no choice? You're put with somebody, and what if?
Well, if it's an active good person, then you ask for a move, you know, and you get a move. But like I personally will not go to sleep in a cell with someone that I do not feel safe with. So if I didn't, then I would just fight them or do whatever. You know what I mean? Like whatever I had to do to get up out of the cell. You know what I mean? See. Because like think about it. You're living with them. You know what I mean? And on these upper level yards, there's a lot of guys that you're celled up with lifers a lot. You're celled up with people that have a lot of time a lot. And they may resent you because you have a couple years, you know, and they're not going home for a long time, or they could just be sadistic or what. Right. Like it's a violent place, man. And I'm not going to go to sleep.
You can't go to sleep.
You know, like, right? So I'm not going to live like that. So like I make sure, but again, that goes back to your status and who you are. Like I was a good dude, you know what I mean? And I conducted myself well in there. So I always pretty much lived with someone I liked always. Yeah. Or like we always, like if you're a good dude and you're a fun guy and like people are gonna want to live with you. You know what I mean? Especially if you're not broke and you're, you know, like, but I was gonna say the level 3, what I liked about it was you have cell living, right? But program. So like I got certified as a welder. I got was an electrician course. I had all these like cool like I was in college, like all these cool like learning opportunities and like things to fill your day with, right? Because if you're doing whole calendars in there, like the most important thing is how you spend your day, right? The most important thing to you is to make time go by quicker, right? And then secondly would be to do something productive with your time, right? Well, if you have plans of, which everybody does when you're in there, like, oh, I'm gonna do it different this time. So like everybody, like it's nice to have those. And level 3, you have that, but it's not as serious. Everybody's not like, at least it didn't feel that way to me. Like people are still getting stabbed and stuff, but it's not so serious. Like when you go pee, you have a person standing behind you, back turned around to make sure you know, just like. I don't know.
What was the worst? How many yards have you been to?
A lot. I don't even know offhand, but like a lot. Like I've been through prison over 20 something times. So
you've been to
all different levels.
So Wasco, San Quentin, like that's one of like.
I've been to Wasco, San Quentin, Tracy, Pelican Bay, Folsom, New Folsom, New Delano. There's more. Solano. There's like the majority of them though, like I already said San Quentin and Tracy because those are receptions when I was out of town. So like, you're going to go to one no matter what, like a hub prison off the top, no matter what, right? Like, and that's Wasco, San Quentin, Tracy, and Delano. And then if you're down south, they have I think there's another one you can go to. They used to go to one of those southern prisons, but I don't think they do it anymore. But anyways, like no matter what, you go to one of those, depending upon if you're in region 1, region 2, whatever region you're in, automatically you go to that prison, right? And then those, in my opinion, are the gnarliest. I felt like that's where we were going with the conversation. Which one was the worst? Is that what
Which one was the worst? Yeah.
I would say Wasco. Pelican Bay was the worst in terms of guards and program, because like right when you get off the bus there's like, they have this whole speech like, this is a different prison place you've ever been, blah blah blah. Like they just like, they act like they don't have to follow the rules there, and like they it's and they ain't lying. It is like it's fucking, the cops are fucking assholes there. But Wasco, the reason why I feel like it is worse is because remember I was telling you everybody goes to a hub, right? So like, you have a lot of times you have people in a several 100-person dorm. You got people sentenced to life. You got people 10 years, 20 years, 100 points, 12 points, 20, right? Like, and it's just a powder keg of so many different personalities and levels of gangster, levels of like know-how when it comes to doing time in prison, right? So you got people making mistakes and doing dumb shit, and then you have other people that have done a shit ton of time that are like, what the fuck, get that motherfucker, because he made the mistake for the dumb shit, right? Because they know better. So it just, in my opinion, it creates this like powder keg of uncertainty. Like you just fucking never know. Like when you get like summertime, they call it riot season. Summertime, it's off the hook, bro. Like it's 100 and something degrees in those buildings. Everybody's hot and sweaty and angry, and it just cracks, dude. There's always like, and it's so like, say you're a member of whatever other race gang. I'm a white boy, right? And me and you have an issue, right? We can't fight. Like we can't, like, unless short of us talking the issue out and solving it like that, there's no other alternative. Like so.
You have to let it be?
No, it starts a full on everybody versus everybody situation.
Oh, I see.
Because you're not allowed to go one-on-one. You get what I mean? You're not allowed. That's not an option. So many little small things, like somebody was playing cards with so-and-so, but they're from just from different walks of life, we'll say, and they get into an argument or whatever, one disrespects the other or whatever, and now that turns into the other 200 people's in the building's problem. And like that. Because all it takes is one person swinging on another person. Once a punch is thrown, it's on. It's a riot now. It's too late. No answer. There's not even anything you can do about it. You can't even, like, the dude can't even throw the punch and the person grab him like, bro, what are you fucking doing? Now we're going to take him over here and beat him up and teach him. Doesn't matter. It's too late.
Really?
Yep. It's going to crack nuts. And right then, like instantaneously. And you're like, you were just playing cards or like taking a shower or fuck. I can tell you a million different stories, but like it doesn't matter where you're at, bro. When that happens, it's fucking on. And that is the one thing that you can't say no to. Period. I don't care if you carry a Bible around all day and that's your get down. That is the one thing you cannot say no to.
Right.
If it is a situation like that where everybody on everybody, you got to participate. You have to.
And if you don't, you're dead.
You're not necessarily dead, but you're going to get removed, because if you're not big, and it makes sense. Think about it this way though. So if you're of the mind of, well, what if they just are opposed to violence or whatever, and they're like, but think about it this way. We're already living in numbers, right? And if he's not willing to fight, then he's taking up the space for someone else that might be. Right? So if you're not willing, and it's only in that situation, it's not like those people are being asked to go out and do all. It's just, if we're in this one unique situation where like everybody's fighting everybody, like you got to help us. And if they're not willing to, then they got to go.
That makes sense.
You got to put someone else in there that is, like, because you just have, it's almost like, I always say, like, I don't know, I've never been in the military, but I feel like there's got to be so many, like it's so similar, like because you go in there and you develop strategies and you get together and you you know what I mean, and there's a camaraderie there and like willingness and a friendship and a bond that is different because you're actually willing to die for each other, and it is a real possibility. And how often is that really a real possibility in your day-to-day life? It's not, right? Unless you're in the military, it is, right? Because if you get deployed and you're over in war, that's a real possibility, right? And I'm assuming those guys develop a bond when they're in war together that is like no other. Well, I can tell you that I have developed a bond with men behind those walls that is like no other, and it's such a deep connection that I can't even explain it. Like just knowing that someone you didn't even know, you didn't even grow up with these guys, man. These are people you may have met 6 months ago, 2 months ago, right? It doesn't matter. They're willing, and they're I don't know, like that to me. I feel like it has to be similar to the military, like because that bond that we develop and that willingness to go there for each other is it's pretty gnarly. It's and it not only that, it goes back to what I was saying earlier. That's where that sense of belonging comes for a lot of people, right? Because people like me that didn't really have the best home lives, and a lot of love in the home, and very violent upbringing, and just like shitty childhoods, right? Never really felt that. When you feel that, I think that's the same thing they get from gangs. People get from gangs, or for me, I got from prison, or like at the end of the day, I think most people just want to belong. They just want to. They want to fit. They want to feel loved. They want to feel appreciated. They want to feel like they fit into a puzzle or a piece of something bigger, or you know what I mean. And if you're not getting in that at home, I feel like that is the biggest reason why people turn to prison as myself, or gangs for others, or things like that. Is that. And I wish I had an answer for that. I wish I had you know what I mean? Because that's where it starts. It starts at a young age, and it starts in the home, and it is so real. It's so real when you feel that willing. Like I was telling you, when I went to prison that first time, dude, I felt it. I felt like I belonged. I felt out there. It is. I found it. Found my spot. I found my where I shine.
Well, it's kind of what you've been searching for to do. That was kind of the pursuit the entire time when you were young.
Absolutely.
Most people, that's stark contrast from what they want,
right? But
it's like you didn't know any better, bro. So this is all the people that I looked up to. This is where they've gone. This is where I'm supposed to go to. Yeah. Well, we're definitely gonna do a part 2 because I know you got a lot more, but I know you have another engagement you have to be at right after this, man.
Part 2 redemption, or are we gonna do?
We're gonna do a part 2. We're just gonna do a part 2 because there's a lot more to talk about, man, and I don't want to rush the redemptive part, and I
don't want either.
Yeah. So, but in the meantime, can you tell people where to reach you at, social media, all that jazz?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook at Rhino Bushnell. I don't really go on Instagram no more. That's probably about it. I haven't been too social media active right now, but that is my goal. My goal is to somehow find a way to fit into this space somewhere, and I feel like I have a perspective on life that is unique, and I have a lot to say. So I hope I find a platform at some point to do that.
Well, hopefully this gets that word out even more so, because awesome. You definitely do, bro. All right, man. Well, until then, done.
Thank you, brother.